The second to last survivor is hooked, and on the struggle phase, the final survivor is in one of the following states: healthy, injured, or dying. This was what I said. What I said should happen. This is the situation. This is when we added the finisher Mori, and then we just, in literally 2 weeks after, decided to give survivors the ability to fucking DC and take a fucking draw when they've lost, yeah? So that it leaves a bot on the hook in the struggle phase, and then you had to just fucking stand there and twiddle your thumbs if you wanted to, you know, see your endgame Mori with the bot that's on the ground. That's what that fixes, I believe. So with this change, killers will be able to activate their Mori earlier so long as victory is assured. Yes. Removing the need to wait for any hook survivors to be sacrificed. Yes. This will let players on both sides get into the action sooner. Fucking hell, boys. We've actually made a positive change towards killer. Fuck me. What fucking year and what planet am I on? Holy shit. That's actually a universally good change. Scared me there, mate, when you said Mori update. Christ's sake. You know, I thought we'd nerf them yet again, you know. You've got to be at 1 gen left, you've got to have all survivors, or everybody in the lobby. You've got to have them all at 2 hooks. Then you can start killing them, you know. You can only Mori survivors once they've opened the exit gates. Fucking hell. And I will just preface it, you know, because I'll probably get somebody coming to me comments when I've just done that outburst as well, and I'll say, don't worry, yeah. I'll come up here and I'll just say, right, that this is also very good for your side of the game. Okay, yeah? This is also very good for you. Okay, yeah? You're not being body blocked anymore. I'm happy for you. Genuinely. Right? Fucking start this us versus them bollocks as usual. I'm on about making the game fucking better and playable for both sides. Map offerings grant a flat percentage chance of being sent to the associated realm. This change is no longer a guarantee. Thank fuck for that. So they've made them secret for some reason. Alright, that's to stop the killers from DCing or all F4, and I think when they get sent to, well, they won't be doing any more, but if they didn't change it down to 20% when you've been sent to the fucking game for your 6th game in a row, and your DCing at loading screen's entirely fucking justified because you just want to play the game, you know, rather than running around a fucking pallet factory catering to the Twitch circle jerk for the fucking 60th game in a row. For people that are starting the game now on Killer or Survivor, if you want to grind and get all whatever perks you want, your Killer's perks, your Survivor perks, whatever, you're gonna be there for fucking weeks, mate, getting who you want, you know. Adding all these map offerings that just soak your BP up into the blood web, it's stupid. Getting rid of them entirely would remove a portion of the grind. A lot more than what people think it would as well, because these are 3,250 each, these things are now useless as well. You just need removing entirely. But it's still a good change though, good change. Artist adjusted several add-ons. Cheers, that's informative. Wish I could commentate on that. Right, I'm going to tell you boys right here, okay? What this basically means is they've looked at all the add-ons that the artist mains use that are all, you know, peak and performing quite well, and they've got a high pick rate. And basically what they've done is they've fucking decimated all of them. They've made them all fucking shite. And they've looked at all the add-ons that have the lowest pick rate, that don't have any contribution whatsoever to the actual game, were considered dog shit tier and all that kind of stuff, and slightly buffed those. That's what that basically is, because that's what they do with all the killers. So basically, boys, if you do enjoy a bit of Artist when you log into the PTB or when this goes live, you've been nerfed. Ooh, do you know what this is, boys? This is because we've got a Masquerade Lich skin for this year's anniversary. We've got to sell that, haven't we? It's just on the nose, boys. It's just on the nose. You can see it, you know. We've made this skin. We've got a licensed skin coming from the Masquerade. Oh shit, what state is he in? We need to buff him. Let's make it. We need people to play him again. Get people to buy his stuff, you know. Make that money. Fucking hell. Hello once again, ladies and gentlemen. Here's to another algo hit that gets me a spike of drama for my opinions, just by my very nature of existence. I'm going to react to the patch notes because apparently I've completely forgot to do this, but I have seen a couple of videos from a lot of content creators now, just at the store window, just thumbnails, and not actually looked at it, where a lot of the killer-focused content creators have actually said this is quite good overall. So, to dive into this with my fellow killer players and provide my own opinions on this, that's what we're going to do here, alright? So, here we go again. We're just going to go through it. I'm just going to react to everything, see how it goes, because apparently this one's a bit of a doozy. So, and, you know, apparently behaviour sort of kind of resembles something that looks like a competent developer. So, we're going to have a wee little look. So it's the 9.0.0 update. I believe this is the one that Springtrap appears in. I don't think we're quite here yet. I'm not too sure. I think this is just where they mention it about what's coming. Yeah, PTB patch notes, yeah. So this is the future patch, I think, when Springtrap goes live. Could be wrong there. Not entirely sure, but I believe it is. So anyway, update will be here before we know it, so it's time once again to take a look at the normal gameplay changes you can expect for tomorrow's PTB. Oh, okay, no, it's just the PTB. As with last time, stay tuned for the PTB patch notes and we'll share the precise values. Yeah. So, new features. Here we go, boys. Operation Health. Operation We Love Survivors, essentially. But apparently it's good, universally. So, we'll see. Going next, prevention. Added a system to identify whether a survivor's sacrifice is an intentional attempt at going next. This is going to be very fucking weird, to be honest. I don't know how you're going to actually pull this off without it being a negative in all the situations where it should be helping. Because I don't really know how you're going to be able to tell the game to read the minds of its players. So yeah, if a player is identified as intentionally going next, they will receive a disconnection penalty point. Again, what are the parameters of that? This is the problem. Because there could be genuine attempts to unhook themselves and all that kind of stuff for the 4%. But, oh, there's a DC penalty point. Remove the option to self-unhook on first hook stage. Wow! Rip 4% then. Unless they have one of the following equips. Okay. Slippery meat, up the ante, or a luck offering. Okay. Now I'm seeing a particularly large hole that generally if you were designing a game you'd notice straight away, or you'd be aware of at least, or you'd consider. So basically when you get 4-man swifts, you just tell somebody to run a luck offering. And then if it's not your favourite map, or it's not your favourite killer to play against, trappers on their first game of the day, you just all DC en masse and lower your MMR even more so you can make that Twitch content. So regardless of the perks being the exclusivity here, that doesn't really matter because you can just run a luck offering, and that's completely fucking made redundant then. Excellent, well done. Added unlocks the ability to attempt to unhook yourself effect to lock offerings. Yeah, that's something you shouldn't do. That's just, what's the fucking point? Why remove something and then immediately add it back just with the prefix of running a luck offering? Why even bother with the perks? Because nobody's going to run slippery meat and nobody's going to run up the ante particularly. Up the ante is probably the one that's more likely going to be run. But you can just get one of your mates to put a luck offering on. It only needs one of you. You still get your choice of map, you know? Fucking hell. Survivors are no longer instantly killed after 2 struggle skill checks pass without any input. Right? But then why do they even exist in the first place then? Why do you need skill checks now then, if they're just not... if they don't do anything? You might as well just put it on a timer of just the animation. I don't understand why the skill checks even exist, and that's the idea of the skill check, is it not? You know, just to fucking stop you from dying. Or it was back in the day when it used to be an horror game and we didn't babysit one side all the way through it. So we're now in this entitled situation that I keep referencing over and over, but it's like trying to smash intelligence into a box of rocks with this player base, because the more of this hand-holding shit you add, the more entitled the side that is receiving all this hand-holding bollocks is going to get. I only have to make videos like this, potentially, where I go on my things and I display my opinions, I go on my rants and all that kind of stuff to see that, you know, how fucking childish this player base has become, mate. But, you know, we'll see. So, going next is not exactly something I would particularly deem great, because you can just run a luck offering. So I don't know why people are excited about that on my killer side of the, you know, my fellow killer people. I don't really know what you're interested in there, to be fair, because they can just run a fucking luck offering, and there's no change here. Although I suppose now when you boot into your games and you suspect it's a 4-man, and you do see a luck offering, basically just don't, as long as you're not playing Trapper, you're probably going to get a win out of it anyway, because they'll just 4-man DC like they always do, if they don't get their own way. Please note the disconnection penalty system is active on the PTB. Oh, was it? I've switched off that now. Gone back to base game. So certain facets of the going next penalisation will not be available to test. What? Oh no, it's not active. Fucking hell, missed that. That's fine. I was going to say, like, certain aspects of it aren't thingy, but you put it on the PTB. Dev notes. I need to scroll down a bit, probably. We've made the above changes in order to tackle going next from 2 directions, penalising repeat offences and limiting exploitability of self-hooks. You haven't done that though, because you've added the luck offering situation, where you just run a luck offering your 4-man, and this literally just doesn't exist. By restricting early match self-unhooks to specific perks and offerings, this still allows players to work it into their strategy, while limiting cases where it's used in bad faith. So yeah, it still allows players to work it into their strategy of only farming Twitch content and going against day 1 killers, decimating the new player experience for the sake of being a complete cunt, to mimic all the Survivor content creators that built their careers on being pathetic. But, you know, it is what it is at the end of the day. We've kind of just butchered it by giving them the luck offering, easy way out. So I don't think that was the one we were particularly interested in. Extreme hiding update. Updated AFK detection system. Okay. Please tell me this addresses the situation of just standing in a fucking corner and repeatedly picking up and dropping your item and just taking the game hostage. Reminder, if a player is considered AFK, crows will gradually begin spawning above the survivor, beginning with 1 and capping at 3, unless you do something like dropping an item, which you can just do in the corner of the map. Once the survivor has 3 crows following, they lose collision with other players. That's good. Stops the body blocking bullshit. Yeah. So you're not going to get some twat on your team now, standing in doorways, or getting used in corners or anything like that. So that's good. With this updated system, we've adjusted how the game identifies players who have stopped contributing to a match. While the crow system largely functions as before, an additional effect at 3 crows prevents survivors from intentionally griefing teammates with body blocking. Good. It's only took us 10 years to do this, but it's good, at least. While also preventing the killer from holding survivors hostage. Yeah, because you get crows and then you can pass through the killer, yeah. Yeah, that's positive. That's just game health, literally. Nothing wrong with that. Bloodweb spending improvements. I did see these on the PTB. I don't particularly personally give a shit about this. Everybody jumped for joy about it. I actually like the Bloodweb. I like doing it. Because basically from what I've seen and what I've used of the auto, you know, when you click the center and it fills it automatically, the game will systematically pick all the most pointless shit in that Bloodweb and make you buy it. And a lot of it is actually expensive. You'll be paying 4k for like murky regents. Like this shit will literally like you'll select it in the middle and it'll consume the entire Bloodweb, and it'll only take you to map offerings, murky reagents, Mories, and really bad add-ons, to the point where you just miss all your party streamers and all that kind of stuff. I just think that's stupid shit. I'd rather do it myself. Added an auto Bloodweb button, which allows you to set how many levels you want to automatically progress. Yeah, I see this. I saw this in the actual PTB. It's no secret this is one of the most common community requests. We're excited to put this in your hands. Even better, we've removed some recurring pop-ups after you see them once you make your time in the Bloodweb even more snappy. Pop-ups. Or is that the predictability thing that you get every character, where they still have that little remnant of DBD's past when it was a horror game, about how it was, you know, the entity was waking up in your blood web every time you started leveling a character. So that's gone now. Mori update. Jesus Christ, what the fuck is this now? It doesn't need to be one. Updated the Mori system so that it can now also be activated when 2 or more survivors are dead. And the following occurs. The second to last survivor is hooked, and on the struggle phase, the final survivor is in one of the following states: healthy, injured, or dying. This was what I said. What I said should happen. This is the situation. This is when we added the finisher Mori, and then we just, in literally 2 weeks after, decided to give survivors the ability to fucking DC and take a fucking draw when they've lost, yeah? So that it leaves a bot on the hook in the struggle phase, and then you had to just fucking stand there and twiddle your thumbs if you wanted to, you know, see your endgame Mori with the bot that's on the ground. That's what that fixes, I believe. So with this change, killers will be able to activate their Mori earlier so long as victory is assured. Yes. Removing the need to wait for any hook survivors to be sacrificed. Yes! This will let players on both sides get into the action sooner. Fucking hell, boys! We've actually made a positive change towards killer. Fuck me! What fucking year and what planet am I on? Holy shit, that's actually a universally good change. Fucking hell, dude. Thank fuck for that. I no longer have to fucking stand there as the power roll because some fuckers DC'd on the hook at the end game, you know? Holy shit, dude, that's good. You scared me there, mate, when you said Mori update. Christ's sake. You know, I thought we'd nerfed them yet again, you know? You've got to be at 1 gen left. You've got to have all survivors, or everybody in the lobby. You've got to have them all at 2 hooks. Then you can start killing them. You know? You can only Mori survivors once they've opened the exit gates. Fucking hell. Like, fuck for that. It's actually something that's actually good and needed in the game. On the killer side of things. And I will just preface it, you know, because I'll probably get somebody coming to me comments when I've just done that outburst as well, and I'll say, don't worry, yeah, I'll come up here and I'll just say, right, that this is also very good for your side of the game, okay, yeah, this is also very good for you, okay, yeah, you're not being body blocked anymore, I'm happy for you, genuinely, right? Fucking start this us versus them bollocks as usual. I'm on about making the game fucking better and playable for both sides. Map offering updates. Is this the final decimation of this stupid shit as well? Map offerings grant a flat percentage chance of being sent to the associated realm. This change is no longer a guarantee. Thank fuck for that. Map offerings no longer stack their effects. Good. Map and gameplay affecting offerings are treated as secret during the loading screen reveal. So they've made them secret for some reason. Alright, that's to stop the killers from DCing or Alt F4, and I think when they get sent to, well, they won't be doing any more, but if they didn't change it down to 20% when you've been sent to the fucking game for your 6th game in a row, and your DCing at loading screen's entirely fucking justified because you just want to play the game, you know, rather than running around a fucking pallet factory catering to the Twitch circle jerk for the fucking 60th game in a row. But that's good. That is actually good. That is really good. I would have, in an ideal world, I would have preferred them to go whole hog and just remove them completely, because it'd improve the blood web as well. Like, taking them down to 20% makes the blood web situation a little bit worse, because now they're not even guaranteed to send you to a map anyway, so they're kind of just fucking useless anyway. And then you still have to buy them and spend for them in the blood web. Just fucking get rid of them. I really don't know why we still have this. And I do apologise on my side of the fucking fence here to all the Scratch Mirror Myers players, if you might find this, you know. I do deeply sympathise with you, but I just want them gone, to be honest, you know. It's just needless shite, dude. I said it in a previous video, it's like you're playing Call of Duty and some fucking kid in the lobby with a shotgun wants to send you all to the smallest map in the game so he can run around and content farm, and every other fucker in that lobby, all you and your mates, have to go there for the sake of this one fucking child. That's what map offerings is. But obviously in this game it's usually in a 4-man. Or just survivors that want a really easy game. Usually on the game or guard on a joy and all that kind of stuff, all the broken shit. It's fucking dumb shit, dude. It should never have existed. But more or less gone now anyway, so it is what it is. Happy for that change. By making map and gameplay effective and offering secret on loading screens, our intention is to preserve the element of surprise, preventing the opposing role from starting the match with knowledge of your strategy. It's not necessarily that, it's just, you know, I mean, I suppose, yeah, on the killer side of things, speaking from experience, preventing the opposing role from starting the match with knowing of your strategy, i.e. you're about to become the puppet for fucking Twitch, yeah, it would remove that, but, you know, it is what it is, man. They just need to be deleted entirely, so I don't have to spend all my BP wasting it on BP offerings like this as well. Because the game already has a really bad, like, for people that are starting the game now on Killer or Survivor, if you want to grind and get all whatever perks you want, your Killer's perks, your Survivor perks, whatever, you're gonna be there for fucking weeks, mate, getting who you want, you know? Like, adding all these map offerings that just soak your BP up into the blood web, it's stupid. Getting rid of them entirely would remove a portion of the grind. A lot more than what people think it would as well, because these are 3,250 each, these things, are now useless as well. They just need removing entirely. But it's still a good change though, good change. Spawn rules updates. Adjusted the following spawn rules. Survivors spawn as close together as possible. Okay, so you all spawn in groups now. Survivors spawn on the same floor, where applicable, that's on the game. And Midwich. Potentially Toba as well, if you all spawn on top of the thing. The killer will not spawn at the centre of small maps. Okay. So yeah, survivors spawn as close together as possible. This is an attempt to stop, unless you're running corrupt intervention, to stop you losing about 3 gens at the beginning of the game. Because obviously they're going to all spawn together. You're going to get about 2-3 survivors maybe on a single generator maybe. But obviously if they're smart enough, you're not going to have 3 people on a generator. So they'll pair up and then the other 2 will go looking for another gen together. That's probably how it's going to work now. So you'll spawn in. You'll spawn in and you'll go looking for, well, 2 of them will jump on the first gen and then the other 2 will go looking for another gen. It's not really hard to find generators though, once you know the maps. So you're basically pairing 2 survivors up at the start of games now, which means you are probably going to lose that first generator before you can even get to that side of the map. Provided you don't instantly look in the right place, essentially. Yeah. And then the killer will not spawn in the centre of small maps is to stop the killer finding you too quickly on small maps. That's what that is. So that is a slight nerf to killer spawns on smaller maps. Change the name of the Shroud of Separation to Shroud of Vanishing and changed its effect to nullify offerings that change survivor spawn locations. Yeah. Although, I can't remember on the PTB though, they've removed, so they've replaced Shroud of Separation that started you the farthest from the killer, I think it is, that one. But I didn't see Shroud of Binding, which starts everybody together. Shroud of Vanishing is just useless, because it doesn't do anything, there's no offerings for it, from what I can remember. Don't matter anyway, I never ran this shit anyway. Change the name of Shroud of Binding to Shroud of Separation and change its effect to spawn survivors. I just didn't see that. Spawn survivors apart from one another. You don't want to though. I assume that's something survivors would want. You'd want to burn the offering to spawn yourselves apart, because spawning yourselves apart is actually stronger for survivors. Because you're going to have like 3, nearly 4 for a certain amount of time before you find the first survivor. You're going to have 4 people on generators. in gen efficient teams. That's really strong. Yeah, the Shroud of Vanishing, Shroud of Separation all seems redundant to me. I don't think you'd ever use it. Dev note, with these changes to spawn rules, players will find their spawn locations to be more consistent when not affected by offerings. We also know certain Shroud offerings have historically worked counter to what each role might want, so we've adjusted them to better line up with these expectations. Dude, it makes me laugh when they say this, like, because I've never seen this part of the game before. Who the fuck has been running Shroud offerings? Seriously, who has actually been running Shroud offerings? Like, why would you ever fucking run this shit? You could spawn yourself far enough. It's a really new player thing, I suppose. You could spawn yourself far away as possible from the killer. You could spawn yourself with another survivor. You used to be able to buddy yourself up on survivor with one of them. I think that was Shroud of Binding. I don't know if that was the purple one. No, Vigo's Shroud was the purple one. Yeah, Shroud of Binding was the one where it was the survivor exclusive one where you could burn it to spawn yourself with another survivor. I never saw this shit ever, you know. I think I've seen a secret Shroud offering from survivors in like one every, realistically, 300 games. I think. Like, I never saw this shit ran, but here they are, going on about how it was. We also know certain Shroud offerings have historically worked counter to what each role might want. Never seen them, mate. Never fucking seen them, to be honest. I don't really care. Gamma adjustment setting, I did see this. I actually thought it had factory reset my game and it jump scared me when I first logged into the PTB. I did a video category to the graphics settings menu. I did a brightness setting to the video category to adjust gamma. This was probably why in one of my Springtrap videos I was playing on RPD and the corner in the upstairs where the hook is was just black, because I must have set it too low because I wanted a bit more of a horror experience, but Jesus Christ. It's a bit extreme if that's what it does, because it was. I did move it. I'd moved it to 2.1. I think I had it on mine, or 2.0 maybe. It was just slightly less than mid, and that corner when I watched it back on YouTube was just black. So I don't know who the fuck's playing it all the way down here, mate. Well, you won't be able to see anything. I did a brightness set into the video category to adjust gamma. Yeah, Dead by Daylight is a game that relies heavily on the play between light and dark, which can be difficult to strike a balance between when playing on console, given the more limited options available. To help alleviate this, we've added a setting for adjusting gamma, which gives players more control over our light and dark elements displayed. Yeah, if you want to play on a Christmas tree, what the fuck? That's an horror game. Look at that lowest setting. They're showing this as though you'd use this, dude. Imagine if you could, like, that's like lights out, but without the actual thing. I'm trying to see if it's got. No, you can't actually see anything else in the grass. Imagine playing it like that. It's for the memes, innit? Highest setting. Here's your fucking compy wannabe esports filter. You know, everything's bright and sparkly, and you need to see everything for that absolute fidelity. You know. Masterclass of gaming. There it is. It's probably just so people with poor sight can see properly, obviously. I didn't know that. Custom match improvements. Oh, we've got some killer updates. We appear to have potentially nuked the artist. We'll have to see, because usually that's what killer updates are. Custom match improvements. Increased spectator slots in custom game to 5. Yeah, this is for esports. Added hotkey inputs to custom game spectating to quickly switch the view between specific characters and cycle through characters' views one by one. Yep, whatever. Added control support for the above improvements. Yep. Not only custom matches is an easy way to play with friends, it's also a valuable tool for coordinating tournament play. Yep. To help streamline it, it's using these environments with added hotkey support. Yeah, it's just competitive shit. Even better, we have improvements to custom match in a future update. Okay. Yeah, sure. Right, let's see who they've destroyed this week. Artist adjusted several add-ons. Cheers, that's informative. Wish I could commentate on that. Overall, the artist is in a solid place balance-wise. Well, she mustn't be, because you've adjusted several of her add-ons, but not actually given any kind of detail whatsoever on what you've done. You're developing a video game? Most useful add-ons that meaningfully change how her kit works To encourage even more pip variety amongst these, we've adjusted a top and bottom performing Atherons to bring the usefulness more in line with the other options. Right, I'm going to tell you boys right here, okay? This is basically what this is. I'm going to, because they've not mentioned it, but if you are new to this kind of thing, you might have, only recently started watching me and all that kind of stuff, maybe, there might be somebody out there. What this basically means is they've looked at all the add-ons that the artist mains use that are all, peak and performing quite well, and they've got a high pick rate. And basically what they've done is they've fucking decimated all of them. They've made them all fucking shite. And they've looked at all the add-ons that have the lowest pick rate, that don't have any contribution whatsoever to the actual game, were considered dog shit tier and all that kind of stuff, and slightly buffed those because, you're supposed to use these as well. Don't forget about these, the add-on where, I don't know if Artist has one of them, where crows don't damage survivors anymore. You can just farm BP off them. Let's make that something you should run, but just nuke everything else that made her actually viable in the hands of artist mains, That's what that basically is, because that's what they do with all the killers. So basically, boys, if you do enjoy a bit of artist when you log into the PTB or when this goes live, you've been nerfed. The Lich, other Lich's spells are available at the start of the trial. Good. Reduced cooldowns on all spells. Ooh, do you know what this is, boys? This is because we've got a Masquerade Lich skin for this year's anniversary. We've got to sell that, haven't we? It's just on the nose, boys. It's just on the nose. You can see it, We've made this skin. We've got a licensed skin coming from the Masquerade. Oh shit, what state is he in? We need to buff him. Let's make it. We need people to play him again. Get people to buy his stuff, Make that money. Fucking hell. Dispelling Spears projectile moves quickly when first cast and slows down over time. Increases the killer instinct duration once survivors exit Dispelling Spear. Increase the attack cooldown period after fly ends. Oh, no, that's a nerf. Oh shit, that's a nerf. That was already fucking stupid. So that's something I actually do have a problem with on every killer, to be honest. That's even more arbitrary fucking lockout mechanic right there. So that's even more when you're flying towards a survivor and they're running towards a window, they just basically get that window now. And there's nothing you can fucking do about it. So you might as well not even fly. Yeah. That's bad. That's very bad. They don't explain how much it is though, but that's across the board anyway. I've always said this is a shit mechanic, this, across every killer. It's like when Plague has a very, very standout example where you vomit or you charge your vomit up, and if you decide, no, actually, I want to go for the M1 here, you're not getting that fucking M1, boy, because it'll take you fucking 2 weeks to cancel your power and then the game to respond, when you're doing it. I've got it on camera, mate. It's like you cancel your ability to, you decide you don't want to vomit, and I've literally got myself on camera like that at a window, and it takes about fucking 2 solid seconds, mate, and they get through the window. It's dumb shit. It's a PvP game, where you're supposed to be making decisions on the fly at the end of the day, and you don't get to, because you get punished if you make one wrong mistake as killer. So that's basically what that is. They've just made it even worse. When this was already bad anyway. This is why I always considered fly to be really shit. Because you legit had to just use it and plant yourself breathing down the back of the neck, and they could still potentially get a window. So now they're just going to get that window anyway. Increase the duration and movement speed of fly. Yeah, it doesn't really matter though, because again, this, windows are hard to come by. Or pallets. So unless they're massively outpositioned, because this has been buffed. No, it doesn't really mean anything. Adjusted mage hand hold time to make it consistent for both killers and survivors, resolving a known bug. I don't really know what that bug is, to be honest. Yeah. Increase the effects of magic items when casting the associated spells. That's a blanket across the board buff to survivors. Again, we haven't actually explained what we've increased the effects of though. But again, if you've got awake survivors, or if you've got a 4-man or a 2-man or even a 3-man, whatever, there's already way too much information given about this killer in his abilities. You've got an ability, his ranged attack, where you can legit just fucking crouch under it anyway. There's a magic item where you can just see the auras of them, you know? So you can see the auras of something that's coming towards you that you can literally dodge by pressing control when it passes over you. Fucking hell. And we've adjusted several add-ons. Refer to the artist, what I've just said about the artist for that. Dev note for the Lich, much of his power focuses on providing utility over reliably injuring survivors. That's a slight, subtle, very subtle acknowledgement that a lot of his abilities are bad, in a sense, in terms of, like, you know, going for the skeletons and all that kind of stuff and just pressing control to dodge it. We've adjusted his 4 spells to increase the frequency with which they can be used to ensure there's more spell slinging, while quality of life adjustments to help these spells feel smoother to use. Right, okay. Adjustments to help make these spells feel smoother to use. So what we've done is we've locked you out of the game for a longer period of time when you use it. But we've made them feel smoother to use. Right, okay. On the survivor side of things, we've also wanted to ensure magic items feel like more viable options for countering each spell, even more than they already could be. So we buffed them slightly, yeah. Dunno, depends how much they buffed them, but they were already decent enough. And I've played Survivor against this. You just get told, like, there's legit magic items where you just see where he is when he's flying. Like, what the fuck? You know? Get that in a Discord server. It's a fucking laugh, mate. You know? He literally self-nerfs by virtue of his own power. But we buffed it. Fucking hell. Perk updates, killer perks, updated Call Brine. Again, we've not explained fucking anything. We've adjusted values on the above perks, which boasted lower pick and kill rates to introduce small buffs to increase the viability. Stay tuned for the patch notes for specific details. Yeah. I mean, buffs, yeah, sure. We've updated the Hex perk that won't actually do anything though, because now we've just completely destroyed the only Hex perk that was in existence with the Penty nerf. Even though I didn't run it anyway, because it was I played a lot of Survivor games against the problematic, as it was referred to, Penty build, where I'm just sat on gens, not giving a flying fuck about the existence of Penty, and still doing my objective and getting out. So, you know, it is what it is. At the end of the day, yeah. Can't really comment on them, see what these are, but I briefly ran Thwack on some killers because it's quite good. I do think Thwack is somewhat good because it gives you aura reading whenever you break pallets. But yeah, don't know. Survivor perks. Right, okay, hang on a minute. Right, updated botany knowledge. Some more healing. Is this small buff? Yeah, introducing small buffs. Okay, right, okay. We've got a bit of a piece to say about this. And again, it's going to make me look like the filthy killer main, and they're going to all come to me comments again about all this kind of shit. You know, despite, you know, I'm just playing the game, so these people apparently exist in the same fucking space as me and try to tell me that I've got favoritism to one side based on what I'm about to say. You know, but again, take it out of fucking context and demonize me once again. Updated botany knowledge, that's a healing perk in the current state of the game at the moment, where healing off hooks is borderline fucking instant. Updated champion of light, that's a swift perk for the most of the part. This is where you can basically get speed axe for using a flashlight and you can nail the killer to the floor. That's, again, a direct fuck you to most M1 killers, which this perk hard counters. Updated counter force after we've just decimated hex perks, so that's even more totem buffs. So hex perks have just had yet another fucking nail drilled into the skulls. There's nothing really left of them now based on this. Updated desperate measures, that's even more heal speeds after hooks as well. This is the perk where for each injured, dying or hooked survivor, I believe it is, your unhook speed is increased and your healing speed is increased, I believe. I think it's that. It's the Felix Richter perk, which buffs something to do with hooks. So even more heal speed potentially off hooks, where it's, again, just once more for the boys at the back of the room, fucking instant these days to heal survivors off the hooks. So there's no time wasted, which is actually viable for killers, especially for M1 killers, where you have to delay survivors. So running stuff like leverage, I found, where you just nerf the off the hook heals, but even then, that can be countered by resurgence, which is something that is fairly meta at the moment. That still fucks that out of use. Empathic connection, yep, that's even more heals, I think. I think that's the Yoichi perk, which is reverse empathy, I believe, where when you're injured, you can see the aura of the person running this, and then I believe if you run to that person, they can heal you very quickly. I think that's what that is. So yep, more healing nerfs in a game where healing is also too quick, again. Exaltation, that is the Trevor Belmont perk where you stun a killer and you upgrade your item rarity. Sure. Updated light-footed, that's where you're just invisible, basically. But that's also a buff to a perk that everybody has at base kit at the moment anyway, because the sound design is still fucking bad in this game. So whenever you go around any kind of obstacle or put a fucking leaf between you and the killer, you'll just be silent and get this at base anyway. So I don't really know why we're buffing it, rather than addressing the actual sound design issues. But yeah, there it is. Well, that's the end of it. As I say, we've buffed healing at the end. I don't know why, but again, we're not playing the same game, obviously. Yeah, there's a couple of positives here, though, obviously. Most of it does come from early on in this, with the, you know, the spawn rules, the map offerings, the Mori updates, and all that kind of stuff. Bit of an overbuzz, unless there's just something I'm just not realising here from my fellow killer kinsman, countryman. I don't know what everybody's excited about, apart from the Mori update. Maybe it is the Mori update, actually, because this is positive. Maybe it's just this. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what everybody is excited over here, but yeah, it's not terrible in terms of what goes on inside my head, to be honest. Yeah, that's going to be it. That's going to be the patch notes, boys. I expected it to be a bit more groundbreaking than that, obviously, with everybody kicking off about it. I don't know what everybody's kicking off about. I'll probably go and watch that now, but yeah, very bog standard. Not really much negative, to be honest, apart from healing buffs again. And just these, which, I don't know, you know? Not really negatives because the buffs, but yeah. We kind of, you know, we had to compensate by fucking his fly ability up with Lich. And then we've basically nerfed artist main's enjoyment, basically, for the sake of trying to pretend we're buffing the lower tier stuff or something, you know? So all the fucking memes are going to get buffed and just nuke the stuff that's useful. I don't know. Yeah, there it is. There's my thoughts on that, fellas. Yeah. See you on the next one.